Hi, I'm Ray, and this is a blacksmithing video.
So today we are going to start the bird feeder hanger. So I'm thinking that we are going to do a couple like curved forms.
And I actually was able to do a little bit of planning for once in my life. And I kind of drew out some designs for this bird feeder hanger. I've got about 8 different designs that we're doing with. We are working on some scroll, and we've got like little decorative sections, and we're going to weld those onto a plate so that we can screw or nail this piece into a wall or a post. So right now, the design that I chose is this design right here. So the design goes like this. We are very excited to make that piece.
Okay, so every time we use round stock, we kind of want to flatten that out and give ourselves 90-degree angles to work with. It makes it a lot easier to work. Less twisting and less slop. Alright, so I like to put a little nose on the end. So we're going to shelf in ourselves a little nose. So what we've got going is like a little bit of a step going on there. So we're going to draw down this section here so that we can make our little loop. We're going to thin that out, and as we thin it out, it's going to lengthen the whole piece. This is going to be a little nub at the end, like a little round section like you might see on some wrought iron fencing. And then we're going to continue drawing this all the way down, and we're going to add another nub on the other end, back here where we're holding with our tongs, and we'll do that as we keep going. Try and keep the edges nice and square. We do have the risk of like weird little dings where when I twist the bar a little bit, and that's why we really want to work on squaring off the bar so that it's a lot less easy, or it's harder to like rotate as you are hammering. Trying to round out this little the little nub at the end. See, we've got a couple corners and we've got to get rid of them, and the best way to get rid of them is to like hammer them on the anvil. And the best thing about these anvils is that you can actually use every surface of the anvil effectively, right? So if I want to get inside this little section, I can actually just kind of like tilt my piece and start using the front face of the anvil as resistance, as opposed to like the flat of the anvil. And so we've kind of rounded that out a little bit. It looks a lot more rounded and less like a little cube at the end. So I'm really happy with the amount of draw that we have gotten. We've really increased our length. We've probably gained about 1.5 inches, and that's pretty exciting. We are going to create another nub like this on this end, so that we kind of have like a curl, like a C curl going on. And then we're gonna do a second one, and we'll kind of like put them together, and we'll have lots of places that we can hang things from. What we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it around and grab a hold of it from this guys and for me. Alright, so we gotta pay attention to exactly where we have our previous nub, which is that direction. We want to make them the exact same. So I think I'm gonna square this off a little bit so that we don't shimmy around. Kind of got like a flat going on there, so now I am pretty comfortable, and we're going to start shelving off that nub. So we've got that nub right there, and it's starting to form. I'm pretty happy with that. Got to be a little bit careful that it doesn't shimmy around a bit, and it's the same size. So we've got about that amount of material over there, and we've got about that amount of material over there. I think I'm pretty happy with that. So we've got a nice shelf going, and we'll put that back in the Ford. The first thing that we're going to do is square off this piece of round stock. We're starting to get that 90 in there, and that's exactly what we want to see. From here, once we have that 90, we're going to isolate out the little nub, our decorative nub. So we've got that nice and started out, and so on our other piece that we were working with, we've got a little bit of that going. We've got a nice section that we can isolate out, and we will be able to kind of squish that in a little bit to make that piece identical. So we're trying to make a second one of these guys.
So we're continuing to isolate out the decorative bit, and as we're going, we're trying to kind of keep that width about the same, so it doesn't grow too fast, and it's looking pretty good. I think it might be a little bit longer than I was originally going for, but I think that the fact that it's longer is going to be good, because then when we come back to round this out, we will end up losing just a little bit of that length on the nub there, and so I think it's going to turn out pretty similarly. All right, and we're going to continue flattening that back and drawing out that material. As we go, we're trying to straighten any curves that are developing to get that commonality with our first one that we've got. And as we keep going, we're going to continue to compare the two pieces. I think we're coming along really nicely. We're starting to make really good progress on this piece, so we just got to keep on keeping on. Every heat works a little bit closer towards the whole piece. Looks like we got a little ways to go on this one. So I'm pretty happy with what we've got there. It looks like we're a little thin on this side. So I think our next heat, we're going to start rounding out this area. We're going to lose a little bit of length. We are going to thicken that point out as we shorten out this little nub that we've got going. Once we are happy with this nub, then we'll flip it around and work on the other side. The process that I'm currently doing is called upset. And what this is it's hammering the material back on top of itself. And so it kind of thickens it and shortens it. And that's kind of what we're looking to do. So we've got ourselves a nice little round section that's very much in common with the first piece that we made. And so what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to flip this guy around and we're gonna start working on the other side. So we start on securely on that flat that we've already created, and we're kind of sliding it back without twisting our wrist to kind of give us a nice flat surface to start our work with. As per our design, we want two identical ones, so we want to make sure that the nubs are facing the same direction. And so we're going to start isolating that piece of metal on the end out. And so we've got a shelf forming right there, and I'm really happy with that. It's a little bit on the long side versus our first piece. When we go back in to shape that and to round that out, we will make that closer to the size that we want.
So we're going to start bringing that thinning out back. So we're flattening out that piece. We really want that skinny horizontal a rectangular profile that we're looking for. So we're bringing that all the way back. Like right now, this is really, really thick, so we've got a little ways to go thinning all of this out and flattening that out. So we'll do that over the next few heats.
I'm pretty happy with how wide that area is right there. It can be a little bit skinnier, it looks like, and we definitely need to bring that taper back a little bit further. Got a big fat area right there, lots of meat, and we can bring that outward. We're trying to take out any curves and get those pieces real nice and similar. So we are very, very close. I'm very happy with that. So first things first, we're going to see how it goes, rounding this guy out. So I've got a nice curl going there. I'm pretty happy with it. We're going to straighten that out because it tends to get a little bit of a curve, like a twist going when I'm doing this on the anvil horn. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. So there's a little bit too much, because of course. All right, so there's a little bit too much straight right here. So I'm gonna heat that back up and we're gonna see about getting that to curve a little bit more. So I've got this nice curl going. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to flip it around because I really like what I got going here. We're gonna flip it around and start curling on that other side. So we're gonna come over here. So we've got a nice round area coming through. So what we're trying to do now is we are continuing this scroll, and we're gonna try and bring that around. All right, so yeah, we've got a really nice scroll going. I think I want to bring it down just a hair more, like so. All right, and then I think I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, we've got the curl and it's coming in just like this guy. So if we flip our curl, our scroll, then we have exactly the correct shape from the design. So that's really exciting, which means that we're done with this. I am going to quench this guy off in my quench bucket if I can find my quench bucket. So we've got a nice quenched scroll right there. So we have a second piece, and that one's already heating in the forge. And so we're going to start that scroll, or the next scroll. And we're going to start this nice curve, and we're going to turn this into a C shape. And so we've got a nice curve going in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it around, put it back in the forge, and then we're going to start on the other side because we want to make that nice C shape. All right, so we've got a nice C going there. I'm pretty happy with that. I need to kind of even it out. It's a little bit flatter on this side than it is on that side. So I think we're going to flip it over again. All right, let's see if I can get this to curve out a little bit better. And I also want to straighten this out. And I think we're going to bring that a little bit further this way. So I need to make this a little bit, bring this back out more, because that's just too much curve. Great thing about anvils is that you can actually use every surface of an anvil. There we go. That's better. All right, so I got our piece out of the forge, and we're gonna bring this down a little bit further, like so. And now we've got a really nice curve in there. So this is going to be the top, and this is going to be the bottom. And I think that's actually pretty dang good. Now we will weld them right there with a spot weld. How does that sound, guys? Safety equipment for the welding. I've got 2 welding gloves. I've got my apron, and then I've got my welding helmet. And so here we have it. The 2 pieces nice and welded together. There's just like little spots in there that I've got going. So I'm not an amazing welder. I don't promise to be, but these are, you know, they'll get together, they'll stay together. So I have decided that I'm going to make the back plate that we're going to weld this piece together onto a piece of angle iron. I think it's going to do really nice. So overall, we're going to have the piece that's going to look just like so, and I think that's going to be really pretty. And we're going to have that wrap in there so that we'll get rid of that spot weld. So this is hot angle iron, and what we're doing is we are flattening that out by hammering on that back end. I think that's going to look really, really nice for our hanger. It's got that nice symmetrical, you know, line in there. I think that's going to go really beautiful. And I'm going to turn that around so I can start on the other side. So we are going to continue to flatten out our piece of angle iron. We want a nice, consistent, and very precise hammer blow for this, because we don't want any rolling, folding, or expansion on the edges. And that's a very easy to do when you are unfolding angle iron this way. So I think now our best course is going to be getting rid of a bunch of the scale that we've got generating. So we've got our scrolls here, and we're going to put them in just like so, and they are the perfect size. Look at that. That's absolutely gorgeous. I like that so much. So now all we have left is to wrap over top of the weld, and then we'll be done with this piece. All right, so we're going to start this scroll like so. Lancing blows like so. And we're gonna stop about here, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of test this, and you can kind of see how it's gonna fit in there a little bit. Part of the way that we're going to be able to wrap that around is by bending the whole bar so that it perpendicular to our wrap. And the reason we want to do that is so that we can kind of get clearance around those wraps, because we've got this guy right here and this guy right here are both going to get in our way. Being able to control this is going to be key to this wrap. So we've got this, and I don't think that we're going to be able to remove this guy anymore, and that means that we have to put the whole thing in the forge, and I've made sure that we could do that. Part of the reason why we wanted to make sure that we welded those two together. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to have to angle this piece. Okay, if I go like this, then I can take you and I can hold you and then move this guy, and then now we've got our piece on the wrap again. So we are on the back swing, and we will be able to heat that back up and do a second wrap. And we're going to open this guy, and we're going to And so we're starting our second wrap there. So on our next heat, we're going to kind of close that in, and then we're going to continue wrapping that around. Now, we're going to go this way. And now we've got them a little bit closer together. So that's exactly what we want to see. And I think we're getting that wrap in there really well. I think the next thing I want to do is actually cut that off. Open that up a little bit. So now we've got our wrap. It's kind of cut off like that. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put this back in the forge, and we're going to bring that tail out and then bend it backwards, and we've got two nice wraps on that side. Let's see. If I put this in the vise, if I put this together like so and hold this on here, it should, in theory, squish those two together. Now I'm going to open it really, really hot, or really, really open, and then we're going to squish those two together like so. We're going to do this really, really slowly because we want to make sure that we're not like, causing issues for ourselves. So we've definitely covered our weld. You can barely see where I welded those two together. We've got nice, like a nice double scroll on that side, a single scroll on that side, but we'll work on that a little bit. So I was able to go over there and actually weld the two beads. So from here, we've got to do some wire wheel brush and a little bit of grinding, maybe some sanding, because we've got some little spatter from the welder that we got to do, and we got to clean up the welds just a little bit.